for you today. We're going to make this adorable snowman, and you can make either a coaster, 2 different sizes of trivets, or a placemat, or you can make them all because the pattern includes all 4 sizes. Once you've downloaded the pattern from our website, you go ahead and get that printed out, and then you want to trace the face of whatever size you're using onto your either seam or heat and bond. And then I like to cut out the circle part first. So this is the front of, let's just call this a coaster for today's tutorial. So cut out the front, and you've got this on your fabric back, and you're cutting that out. The face there is just a template. You can use that as a guide if you need to for placing the pieces once we get to that part. Next, we're going to peel this off. I like to use a pin to score the backside because it just gently tears the paper and it peels off so beautifully. So once you peel that paper backing off, then you're going to take your fabric and you're going to place this on your batting. And you can use fusible fleece, you can use batting, whichever you prefer to use here. If you're using fusible fleece, use the fusible side for the back fabric because this side is also fusible because we put it on seam. And then you're going to cut it out and then add your back piece however you want to do that. Just make sure you've added the back piece before you start top stitching the face pieces. We're going to get to that next. Next, grab your fabric pieces that you're going to use for the face. I used a basic gray fabric here. I love the grunginess that's in it. In fact, it's called Basic Gray Grunge. You can use whatever colors you want to here. I used a light pink for the cheeks, orange for the nose, of course, because it's a carrot, and then black for the rest of the face. And it is grouped in the pattern by color, so you can just print it or trace it right onto your seam, heat and bond, whatever it is that you're using. Iron it onto your fabric, and then cut out all of those pieces. Then once we remove those papers, then you're going to start laying out the face. Now this is where you want to have it open on your computer, print out a diagram, just something to use as a guide. You just want to use something as a guide so you make sure you get your face placement right. Now because I'm using seam here, all these pieces are repositionable until I iron them down, which makes it really nice because then you can look at everything, make sure you have things exactly where you want them to be before you press them. Once you're happy with the placement, use the manufacturer's directions and give it a good press. Next up is the bias binding. Now you have to use bias binding for this because it's round. Regular binding will not work very easily. So if you haven't, there is a tutorial on my YouTube channel for making bias binding. It is really easy to make. It's all in how you cut it. The biggest thing is making sure you're cutting it on the bias. That's really the only difference. The assembly, the way we apply the binding and everything else is exactly the same as the other binding method that I use myself, and I also have a video for that here on my YouTube. You can reference either of those videos as needed. All right, next we are going to top stitch all of those face pieces. Now, because I use seam here, I don't have to top stitch them if I don't want to, but I decided to do a contrasting darker thread. I used black because I thought it would really make the cheeks and the nose really pop on this one. But you can use whatever color thread you want to, and you don't have to top stitch everything because seam is permanent once you press it, so they will not move. But I just think the top stitching adds a really cute layer, but you don't have to stitch them if you don't want to. Now it is time to add the binding. Now we're going to add it to the back side, and then we're going to fold it around to the front so that we can tuck our cute little rickrack in there if you want to. Again, none of this is mandatory, but this is just what I did. So go ahead and attach that binding, again, using your preferred binding method. This is the method I like to use. And then I tuck it into my little binding pocket here, and then stitch it closed. Right now, flip it all around to the front side. But don't do anything yet. You're going to give it a good press just to make sure it all lays down nice and even as it should be. Then I'm going to do my glue basting here. I love to glue baste. It does not gum up your needle. So I start with a little bit of glue, and I just am using little tiny dots of glue here to hold everything down. And then I'm adding in my rickrack, and I'm just eyeballing it here so that the top edge of that rickrack is just peeking outside of that binding when you're all done and once you top stitch it. I'm also using my stylus to help me kind of poke it and, make sure it just lays down where I want it to be. And then I'm ironing as I go because that iron heat sets the glue. So then when you're all done, everything is held into place where you want it to be. And then all that's left to do is top stitch when you're done. And again, it won't gum up your needle. I do this all the time, you guys. It works so well. Just keep working your way all the way around until you are all done with your rickrack and you've glued both the rickrack and the binding into place. Tuck in that raw edge of the rickrack so that you don't see it, and now we're ready to top stitch. Now, I decided to use a decorative like snowflake stitch, so it took me a while to do this. Honestly, you can use a straight top stitch, you can use a decorative stitch, you can do whatever you want to here. So just top stitch to hold everything down because that glue is a temporary hold, and if you wash this, it will not hold it any longer. So make sure you top stitch as your final step of this really cute coaster, trivet, or placemat, or all of the above, whatever you decide you want to make. A quick little tip, I am using my stylus here. It helps hold the rickrack and everything into place so nothing gets bunched up weird under the needle. And that's it, you guys. This is so cute, and it would make such a cute winter project as well. Just change up the color of the binding and your rickrack. Now be sure to hit that subscribe button and follow along.